everybody. We're still following this case. We are watching the suspected case of coronavirus in Jamaica. We are awaiting a press conference. We are looking on the page of the ministry, looking at the page of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and they have put out a statement that they are going to host a press conference. It should have started at 12:30 according to them. I am following their pages right now and I'm not seeing the press conference right now, but what I can confirm is that the CEO of University Hospital, Mr. Kevin Allen, is denying claims that there is a case of suspected coronavirus up at the hospital. According to other news sources, he is saying that is a suspected case of dengue, even though there was he cannot deny that there was a partial shutdown of the hospital. So according to another journalist, there are no suspected cases, but an individual has come from China with flu-like symptoms, and they are doing some tests. So as far as I'm concerned, that means that to me, that is a suspected case. So we are awaiting. I am actually just waiting to see if their press conference has started so far. I'm not seeing anything yet. I'm awaiting the press conference. But what I can tell you is that the hospital is in fact under partial lockdown. Now, as you and I know, they've been treating dengue for over 2 years. And we have never seen a partial lockdown for dengue. So I'm just awaiting to hear what the press release is saying. We haven't seen anything from this press release that is supposed to happen. We have not heard. But again, just to reiterate, what they're now saying is that according to the CEO of the hospital in a press release a short while ago, the rumors that are swirling, he says that there are no suspected cases. However, a Chinese national is in fact sick and is being treated at the hospital. He says they do not suspect that it is coronavirus. He says that it could be dengue, but you and I know that dengue doesn't cause a partial lockdown of any health facility. And everybody in Jamaica have dengue. So we're awaiting for, I am waiting for the press conference from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, which should have started some time ago, according to their Twitter page. I'm constantly monitoring the page, and I haven't seen where the press conference has started. But this is a story that we're certainly going to keep. We're going to keep a close eye on it because, hi, Dr. Mayor, we are going to keep a close eye on it because we want to ensure that all Jamaicans know what is happening. So I am awaiting the press conference from the ministry to start, so that we can just update you. We want to hear what the minister is saying. All right. So as I continue to monitor the minister's Twitter page, where he did put out a statement that there is a release, what we do know is that the Chinese national recently returned from Jamaica. I'm live. The Chinese national recently returned from China, and the person has flu-like symptoms, right? We don't know where. We know it's a female. We don't know where in China the person is coming from, but we do know that the hospital is under quarantine. All right, so I'm just gonna go over to the ministry's page, or Minister Tufton's page, and see what's the latest he has had. Attention all media houses, emergency press conference. All right, and he has shared his live stream. So I'm gonna go over to his page and see if he is indeed live. All right, so give me a minute and let me check, because once he is live, we will share that live stream with you. So I'm now doing my checks to see if his conference is now live. And once it is live, I'm going to show it to you, of course, so you can see what he is saying. No, I haven't seen anything as yet. Let us see. $23. Nope. No, I'm not seeing anything as yet. I'm monitoring the pages. I haven't seen anything as yet. So I'm not sure if I am not sure if the conference is going on right now, but I am not seeing where the conference is live as yet. And I'm awaiting that because we really and truly want to know what is happening. Live stream. I'm not seeing any live stream. So it looks as though the press conference that has been scheduled for 12:30 has not started as yet. What we do know about the coronavirus in the meantime, we know that it is currently all over, right? It started in China, in Wuhan, the Hubei province, in a town called Wuhan. I'm just getting information in that the lady is pregnant. And I'm getting information as we are on this feed. The information is coming into me, right? The lady is pregnant. All right. So I'm hearing that the patient is pregnant. I'm not certain how true that is. All right. I have not verified that information as yet, but that is what I'm hearing right now. Right, so as I said, we are continuing this feed because we want to be able to give you the information as it drop. We want you to hear the information. All right, so Aiden is saying that they went live and then disconnected for 2 minutes. Well, we're not seeing any live feed from them. Thank you, them best picture in it. Thank you. Right, we are not hearing why they haven't started, because really and truly they should have started this feed. They should have started this already. Right? Hey Jamaica YouTube TV, how you doing? Yes, they hide it all the time. You understand? So I guess they are trying to allay fears and they're trying to prevent a panic. That's what they're trying to do. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to read an article that was published by the Gleaner a short while ago. All right. Let me tell you what the Gleaner is saying. All right. So the Gleaner is saying Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, has called an emergency press conference for this afternoon and is at his ministry amid rumors of a suspected case of coronavirus. A Gleaner source indicated this morning that the accident and emergency unit at the University Hospital had been partially closed and the patient isolated. However, UA Chief Executive Officer Kevin Allen told the Gleaner that the health facility was treating a suspected case. Treating the suspected case as one of dengue. A patient presented at the A&E department last night and we are querying dengue. We have sent necessary body fluids to the lab for testing and we await same. This is from the Chief Executive Officer Kevin Allen. The hospital's administrator refused to disclose any details about the patient. In any event, I am not at liberty to discuss the patient information, but we have taken certain precautions. Reports have been circulated on social media platforms that a Chinese national was admitted to the hospital last night with flu-like symptoms and the unit was closed. Allen denied the allegations. No, I have already confirmed that this is true. I have personally confirmed that there is a Chinese national up there being treated with flu-like symptoms. Now, as far as I know and you know, because most of we go through the dengue scenario already, they do not treat dengue patients by isolating them in that manner, right? We don't partially lock down a hospital for a suspected case of dengue. So there is something that we are not being told, right? So we await this press conference. It's still anybody let me know if you are on. Let me know if it has started. I haven't seen it as yet. I'm awaiting the press conference, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, okay, so they have pushed the press conference back to 1:30. I am now seeing a notification that Dr. Christopher Tufton plans to go live at 1:30. So perhaps they are trying to prepare their information. I am going to maintain this feed. We are going to continue this discussion as we monitor this coronavirus story, right? But I'm going to show you what is happening on his page as we speak so you can see. We can watch it. I'm going to create a window while in the dep on the live too. Right? My computer's still moving a little slow. I have to go probably send it to get debugged. But in the meantime, let us just recap what we know about the coronavirus so far. We know that it started in the Wuhan, the Hubei province, the Wuhan city, right? And we know that it is thought to have come from it. Basically, coronavirus is a group of, it's a class of infections, a class of viral infection. You have different types of viruses, right? And they are divided into subtypes. So you have like retrovirus, like what AIDS is, HIV is. You have flavivirus, you have coronavirus, you have different types of virus. So this Wuhan coronavirus is one type of coronavirus. The SARS, remember SARS, that was back in the sudden acute respiratory syndrome from back in the early 2000s. That was another type of coronavirus. I see a lot of people saying that coronavirus is not new. No, the class of illness in terms of the class of virus is not new. You have other coronaviruses that were around first. But this one, the Wuhan coronavirus, is novel. This is the first time it has been detected in humans. What we do know is that the coronavirus is said to have come from animals, right? That whole class of viruses are thought to have originated from animals, and they think that this particular one, the Wuhan coronavirus, is coming from the bats, which have and then somehow jumped to snakes, because I guess snakes eat bats. I don't know, I'm not sure. But apart from that, it somehow jumped to humans because the Chinese people them eat both bat and snake, right? So I'm gonna show you now where the coronavirus is currently as we await Dr. Tufton's press conference. I want to bring up the map to show you where exactly. It started in China, but as of, this is old. I want a recent one, 8 hours ago. Alright, so I find a map. So as I talk to you, I am looking for the information. I'm bringing up the information so that you can see it live while we map the spread of the coronavirus. Alright, so the thing about Jamaican authorities, I don't know where we get this, the same thing we did with dengue, where we don't like to spread, we don't like talk the truth. Alright, we don't like talk the truth. So I'm just gonna show you now where we know that it is so far. As we await the, alright, so these are the areas that we know. These are the areas that we know. that it is. Right? So we know that there is one case in Canada. We also know that there are 5 cases in the US. We know that there are 3 cases in France and 1 in Germany. We know, well, Australia now has 5 cases. Right? We know that there are 5 cases in Singapore, and there are more than 4,500 cases. Yes, Marie, the 12th of January minute have more than enough time to spread. But in China right now, and I'm looking at a real-time map, there are more than 4,500 cases. It has been also detected in the Ivory Coast. I'm not seeing that here. But Taiwan, Singapore, Japan. Japan has a few cases as well. So it's all over. Jenny is saying that there were 100 cases in the US. Well, I don't know of that. The last count I heard in the US, it was 500. So if you know something that I don't, please feel free to share as we await the press conference. From the ministry. Sophia is asking if they know when this lady came through the airport. We are hearing that she came through the airport sometime last week. I am not sure. Right? All right. So the Minister of Health of Grenada just confirmed that this morning in a press conference. So I'm over by YouTube. So King Devon is saying that this morning a chartered plane came from China to Grenada about 2 a.m. with lots of Chinese on board. All right. And the Minister of Grenada just confirmed. Okay. So the thing is, these Chinese people are trying to leave China, right? But the problem is that the incubation period for the Wuhan coronavirus is said to be between 10 to 14 days. And a lot of the times they are asymptomatic, meaning there are no symptoms present while it is incubating. The issue now is that the problem is that it is contagious while it is in this incubation phase, meaning that you don't have to have symptoms. You may already have the disease and you can pass on the disease even though you have no symptoms. So that is something to consider as well. So it's really a very scary scenario as we await the press conference. We want to, wow, it is a scary scenario. It really is. All right, but as I said to you, the minister has now updated his page to state that he will go live at 1:30. So we are awaiting that. We're about 20 minutes out as we await for his live coverage of. All right, so he is live. So we are going to turn over to the minister now, who is now live.
Dr. Bruce, who is sitting to my right, I'm going to ask him to elaborate on the issue that is at the University Hospital, which may have given or would have given cause for the increased levels of discussion and questions that have been asked. Dr. Bruce.
Thanks so very much, Minister. Good afternoon, everyone. As Minister said, I'm Carl Bruce from the University Hospital at Mona. I think you would have been here because of what I gather was discussion on social media about a particular patient who we saw at the University Hospital this morning. The patient was transferred to us from another hospital, and the doctors at the emergency room at the University Hospital evaluate this patient as we usually do. In evaluating the patient, because the patient had a history of travel to Asia, in China specifically, the team, rightfully so, considered whether or not one of the differential diagnoses, as we say in medicine, should be considered this viral outbreak that you have seen internationally. the patient does not meet the case definition of the coronavirus, and maybe PAHO and the ministry will comment on that afterwards. But out of an abundance of caution, the doctors just wanted to ensure that they discussed this. The patient is doing well. The patient does not have a fever above 38 degrees, as by the case definition at this time. And the University Hospital will continue to do the evaluation and testing, and will discharge the patient home as per our usual protocol as soon as all of those testing and evaluation are completed.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Bruce. I should have started by introducing the person sitting here, by the way. Dr. Gandhi is the country rep for the Pan American Health Organization. I introduced Dr. Bruce already, and Dr. Webster Carr is the acting chief medical officer here in the ministry. Permanent secretary is sitting over there to my extreme right. So that's the position of the medical team at the University Hospital of the West Indies. And I want to just read a brief statement, but just add to what he said. You know, I'm giving a statement to Parliament today, coming on the heels of a discussion yesterday at Cabinet. We take this issue very seriously, and we believe it is better to err on the side of caution in terms of taking a very proactive position. And I am prepared to say that I suspect that is what the university team did in terms of evaluating and assessing and considering all options as it relates to this particular case. So in terms of the later today at 2 p.m., I intend to give a more comprehensive statement. But since I have you all here, and we called you here because it is almost as if there was national panic coming on the heels of the discussion in social media world and otherwise about this possible case, we decided that we would not wait until the parliamentary statement was read. But that statement will be done, and greater elaboration on the government's approach and action will be discussed. But in terms of our preparedness for the coronavirus, we have had discussions, as I said yesterday, at Cabinet, and we invited the Pan American Health Organization rep to be there, and she was there, commented on the issue. The technical team of the ministry was also present, and those discussions considered the nature of the virus, challenges as it relates to the spread or potential threats, and what we needed to do to make the appropriate levels of preparation. Since this morning, prior to this press briefing, I had a meeting with my team at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the minister, with also the Chinese ambassador and his team. And based on those discussions, the government of Jamaica will continue its collaboration and its surveillance protocols, which are in alignment with the international health regulations. We will also continue our active surveillance at our ports of entry, or airports and other ports of entry. And we took a decision coming out of the consideration at Cabinet and subsequent discussions that a travel advisory would be issued where persons in China who are planning to travel to the island will be advised or asked to remain in China. Where persons who are planning trips to China, whether Jamaicans or Chinese, we are advising them to postpone, at least for the time being, those travel arrangements that they would have made or are planning to make. For persons in transit to Jamaica, or quarantine protocols will be put in place, where persons will either be quarantined in facilities, specially designed facilities, or within their home environment, depending on the particular circumstances, and depending on the risk assessment that would be done. The nature of the virus suggests, based on the experts, that there's a 14-day, 1 to 14 days for gestation. And so the quarantine the quarantine arrangements would reflect that consideration. For families who are concerned about their relatives and friends in China for work or study, our conversation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs indicates that plans are in place through that ministry to ensure that those persons, whether students or otherwise, our concerns are dealt with, or certainly are represented in that jurisdiction. And later today, after I complete this meeting, there is another meeting at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs which will involve our key bilateral partners, where we will have a discussion about this issue, and any possible coordination that is required as it relates to travel via a third country from China to Jamaica or otherwise. And that the meeting will take place at 1:30, not too long from now, at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. So this represents the substance of the government's position. We continue and will continue to be vigilant. We have been monitoring the information put out by other countries that are affected or trying not to be affected, coming out of China from the authorities, and certainly from our multilateral partners, in particular PAHO, WHO, in terms of what they're advising. Similarly so, the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, has put out a statement giving some advice as to how we deal with this issue. Our first interest is the protection of our citizens, and the government will do whatever is necessary, will extend whatever resources are necessary, or take whatever decision is necessary to ensure that the protection of our citizens is maintained. So, in closing, let me reiterate, we do not have a case of coronavirus in Jamaica. We do believe that we must be proactive and act out of an abundance of caution, and that has been the position as it relates to the university hospital today and the position they have taken. We do have active travel based on the relationship between Jamaica and China, both Jamaican nationals as well as Chinese nationals who come and go. There is a major holiday in China now, so there are a number of Chinese nationals who have gone back for that holiday. We believe, based on the observations coming out of China, that the travel advisory is the right thing to do at this point in time. And as a consequence, the government has agreed and has put this in place, which we will elaborate more on later on in Parliament. Okay? Any questions?
So how equipped are hospitals in terms of protective gear in the case that there's a sea virus?
Well, my brief is that we do have stocks to provide that level of support to our staff members. But again, out of an abundance of caution, my understanding, and the CMO is here, we have made provisions to increase the inventory of protective gear should we need it. I don't know if you want to comment further on that, or that's pretty much it. Yeah. Yeah. What media hosts are you from?
I'm from Aaron, my name is Shanice.
Okay.
What is the status of the lab to enable quick testing?
Want to comment on that?
So, as of today, if we have a sample to be done, yes, if we, okay.
Go ahead.
Karen Webster Carr, Acting Chief Medical Officer. So, as of today, if there's a sample, it will either be sent to our collaborators in the US, CDC, or to Canada, the Public Health Canada. The PAHO has indicated that they will support the National Influenza Center to have the facility to test in a short while. So we will be able to test, but it's a new virus and the testing capacity is outside of the country for now.
I'm Emma Lewis, I'm a blogger, and I would like to ask Dr. Bruce, you're still doing testing this patient. What is he suffering from? Do you know? He or she, sorry.
Yeah, so there are many patients, as you know, who can present to a hospital with a respiratory viral illness. We have to consider all the usual things, including flu, influenza, dengue, etc. In this case, the only reason why this has come up is because of the patient's travel from, and that patient would have traveled to China on the 7th and returned via New York from the 13th, 14th of the month. But that is just how hospitals operate. They try to get all the possible details. And as we said before, out of an abundance of caution, we just wanted to make sure that that was considered. But certainly it does not fit the case definition. No.
May I just ask a follow-up? My name is Daniel. You said as of today there is a sample.
No, if there is a sample, if there's a sample, we would send it abroad.
All right, so gentle people, there you have it. As we come over from the live feed of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, their press conference, what they are saying is that it was a suspected case. The patient traveled to China on the 7th of January and returned via New York on the 13th, presented with flu-like symptoms, but they, through assistance from PAHO or whichever organization, they have realized that the patient doesn't have the casebook symptoms of the disease, according to Dr. Bruce. So it's something that we'll just have to continue monitoring because, well, I guess they did the right thing. It's better to be safe than sorry, as this woman traveled to China, apparently. But right now, boy, I don't know what I think. Let me see what some of you all are saying. She came in contact with a lot, yeah, because if she was quarantined yesterday was the 27th, and she returned to Jamaica she returned from China from the 13th. It's a whole heap of days, that, you understand? And I don't know. Frankly, I don't know how this virus is. It's a novel virus, right? I don't know what Dr. Bruce means that it's not a she's not presenting how the case, because none of them have had experience with this disease, right? None of them have had experience with it. So how them know? That is the question. If I were at the press conference, I would ask how you know, since none of you have seen it before. It's a novel disease. How do you know? Unless you get back those test results. The test, the work that she do, the workup, it go, where them said can go? Either Canada, they mentioned 2 countries, right? But he go Canada and come back already. That's what I want to know, you know? So the bottom line is, people, we have to be cautious because we really and truly don't know, right? We don't know. Let me see if there's anything else that they're saying of any interest at this press conference before we sign off. It's just a question and answer segment, but let me turn you over back to it while they talk, so you don't miss anything.
I understand. And we do not, at this time, we prefer not to touch the patient if we're thinking they're infectious. So we don't even propose to use the digital thermometer as you know it. Yes, so yes, so you want to catch everybody. and we land everybody. Who is the person who land everybody? And so the referral system is what we have to depend on. Okay?
All right, yes. So the intention is until further notice, because this is an unfolding event and one has to monitor, consult, which is why we have had several meetings and will continue to have these meetings, both with our bilateral partners, with the Chinese authorities, with our multilateral partners, PAHO, WHO. So we think that at this point in time, given the traffic between China and Jamaica, which is usual at this time because of the holiday period, as well as the concerns that have been expressed within China by the authorities in terms of restriction of movement, we need to also do what is necessary based on our own risk assessment. And we think coming in from China now should be avoided, and going into China should be avoided. I want to make it clear too, because Jamaica is a country that is very international in its openness, tourism industry very vibrant, that Jamaica is open for business. We're not suggesting at all that others should adhere to a restriction from visiting Jamaica. In fact, Jamaicans and our foreigners continue to enjoy all the pleasures and privileges that they're entitled to once they visit. But as it relates to the challenges in China, those restrictions are specific to that. I think that's important. Well, this is the first time I'm announcing it. I will do so in Parliament and the appropriate, and this is in having advised the Chinese ambassador, having had a discussion with him this morning. Yeah. Right. Well, I'm being told that I should say strongly advised. Right. So that is why I indicated that we are going to be having discussions with our bilateral partners, our major bilateral partners. In fact, that meeting will take place shortly after this one. And you know the main ones, right? European Union, Canada, the US. Well, as I said earlier, we have to distinguish between our normal course of activity, including the tourism travel, from what we have announced as it relates to China, traveling to or from China. We will continue to be vigilant, and indeed will step up the pace of our vigilance at our ports of entry, which would include our ports, and that is an ongoing process. Our medical team on the front line would have been briefed and would be kept brief based on the information that we get. But beyond that, we are not in any way, shape, or form advising of any restrictions or travel advisory as it relates to other jurisdictions. But we will continue to coordinate, as I said earlier. Right. I missed saying that, and I'm happy you asked that question. Yes, for persons who have returned from China within the last month, the ministry has begun a process, and I believe we could use this mechanism to provide some support for that process, to track where we can those individuals, and we would ask those individuals, if they are not contacted, to make themselves available either to their private physician or the public health system, because one of the other things that we would like to do is to do an assessment of those persons who have recently come into the island from China, either via third country, because they have to go via third country. And we're thinking about the last month. Any other questions? Bruce, that's your...
So, I don't know. Discuss the case definition. So, as I said before, there is a case definition for the coronavirus. So it's not every illness that you see in hospital that you're going to say, could this be? You have to compare the patient to the case definition, and we have our experts here, Professor Boyne, Dr. Azinger from the lab, Dr. Alison Nicholson, and our CEO. We met this morning, and we looked at the case definition again, and we would compare what a patient has with that case definition, and this patient falls outside of that case definition.
That's it? Are you adequately addressed? Huh? Okay. You must understand that this was not a planned press briefing, so I'm consulting as I go along because I want to be responsive and not be accused of ignoring the calls of the media. No, I'm just being told by the PS that there are some thermal scanners that are going to be deployed based on what we have in inventory to boost the capacity of that instrument.
So the case definition is an acute onset of a fever and respiratory symptoms, and with a travel history to a place that would have active transmission. So first, you would have to complete the fever. The person did not have a fever. The travel history was to China, but in a place where this was not circulating. Also, we are just outside the incubation period, which is 2 to 10 days normally, but may extend to 14 days. So the person would have left China on the 13th and arrived here on the 14th. So today is the 28th. So we are just outside because they would have left China on the 13th. So we'll start counting on the 13th, yes? And so we are outside of that period. So persons get ill for other reasons. So UWI did the correct thing, and they alerted, and they, but at the end of the day, it's not a suspected case and would not make the requirement to send in that sample abroad, because we could not send it. They would not receive it from us, even if we tried to send it. Just, we just want to make sure, we want to tell the public this is not it, and we have proof. That's not how it works. And so we would not even be able to send that sample.
So it's a process of risk assessment.
Okay, so it may be a few days to get the result. First of all, we have to transport it to the site that will test, and based on their turnaround time, we will get the result. Pardon me? That's the possibility. PAHO would, I don't know do you have a time? Yet.
Jamaica is very fortunate in having a national influenza center. And PAHO WHO up to the end of last year was doing training with the laboratory and the national laboratory and the national influenza center. So we know that in terms of information systems and capacity, they were up to speed. WHO is expecting that we will be able to send the specific reagents to all of the national influenza centers within approximately 2 weeks. And then the local national influenza centers should be able to conduct the necessary tests locally. We'll also be sending the tests and the reagents to CARFA as well. So both the National Influenza Center here in Jamaica and CARFA will be getting those reagents at the same time, and they will have the capacity to test.
We do have Dr. Alison Nicholson from Microbiology, Infection Prevention and Control, and Dr. Azinger here. So afterwards, if you want any specific questions regarding how the process takes place in terms of testing, you can consult with them, but they are here.
One quick question. You did say that the patient did not present the case definition over what did the patient do?
I'm sorry.
You did say the patient did not present what you call the case definition.
With the case definition.
What did the patient actually present?
Yeah. So I understand that you want to get details. We have to respect our patient's privacy. But in this case, the patient did not have a fever over 38, and the patient did not have the respiratory symptoms that are discussed in the case definition.
Sorry, you're not answering the question. Or where the patient is from. I'm asking what symptoms in this patient is one out of two that he can present.
Yes, and I am saying to you that we have a case definition, and the patient did not have that case definition. So I think we'd rather not divulge the specific patient's symptoms, sir.
Remember, no, it's not a matter of. There are certain protocols that governs the confidentiality around patients and their treatment. The truth of the matter is that you didn't request a name, and I appreciate that. But the attention given to the university hospital since this news broke could create a scenario where that patient could be identified or revealed by some way, shape, or form. We're trying to avoid that. I think what is most important is that the clinical team, and there are several of them in the room, not just Dr. Bruce, he just outlined a few others, and you can have a conversation with them after. What I'm relieved about are two things. Firstly, that the university team acted responsibly by assessing the risk, given the travel history of the particular individual in question. And secondly, of course, that they were able, with their combined capacities, rule out that the coronavirus exists. Now, we're a little disappointed that we made heavy weather of it in the media space so soon, because it has certainly turned the country into almost a panic mode. I understand the issues, I understand the need for concern, but it was important, I think, and it is important now to clarify that this is in fact the case. I want to mention one other thing quickly, and we're going to have to wrap up shortly, but the discussions this morning with the Chinese ambassador and his delegation at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade was a mutually respectful one. It was open, it was transparent, it explored all the possibilities. It recognized the friendship that Jamaica shares with China in a number of areas, both in business, culture, and all the other areas that are good for both countries. Education, we have students there studying the Confucius Center, we have Chinese here teaching our own locals. And the decisions taken around the travel advisory are based on that recognition of our friendship. And I say that to say I do not want this to be interpreted in any way, shape, or form as a hostile position. And indeed, I would go further to encourage us not to use this opportunity or this position currently, and I mean us in a broader sense, to take any position that may be interpreted as being discriminatory to our Chinese nationals who are currently in Jamaica. The risk is recognized on both sides, and what we're trying to do is to cauterize and to manage that risk. But it makes no definitive statement or no statement at all on the quality of the friendship that we share. And indeed, the ambassador has asked me to extend his own appreciation for the discussions and the positions that we have taken in the interest of all concerned. Okay? Any final question, or you can pick up after? Okay, final means one, but okay, two after that, no more. Yes? To speak generally on quarantine, there are different elements, isolation, different elements. Yeah.
Okay, so all health facilities have some level of isolation, and because of how it is right now, it will be treated at the major hospitals that we have. The facility at National Chest would not be used immediately, but we are revitalizing that matter. All hospitals, because of how it's transmitted, it can be treated at all our hospitals, and there are isolation facilities at our hospitals.
Can I just say something, because I hear the question. I didn't respond to Shamela's inquiry about our health personnel at the ports and equipment and so on, and I think it's a valid concern that is raised, and we appreciate when these things are raised in the public's interest. But let us not forget that Jamaica as a country, with its existing infrastructure, existing personnel, have done what is, I believe, a remarkable job in managing external health risks. We managed to keep yellow fever out, malaria out. I mean, obviously you have a few cases but not to the point where it becomes a crisis. We had the SARS virus. What's the other one called? The MERS virus, which are all comparable, at least in terms of the novel virus, meaning a new virus, to what is now the case. And we have been able to overcome those risks. And that's because we have a fairly resilient system. Our personnel are adequately equipped, or they make themselves so in the case of new threats. And I am sure we will be able to manage this one. Now, I am not saying that there aren't margins of error and that you will always have a risk of an imported case. We have to prepare ourselves to deal with it. But I don't want the population to believe that we are less than adequate, if you will, to both study, understand, and address the issue. And we are making these statements because we think the public must be kept informed, and we have tried to be as transparent as possible in so doing. Okay? Thank you very much. Oh, yes, I promise you. No, well, the screening is ongoing. So it's ongoing. Now, these countries have identified a few cases, 1, 2, 3 cases, and they have taken, based on the discussions, either directly or through PAHO, WHO, other organizations that we share, they have taken steps or measures to isolate those cases and to deal with those cases. And so the assessment of the risk associated with those jurisdictions are nowhere as great as in this case where in China, although things are being done, it's the origin and it is also spreading at a much more rapid rate. It does concern us that we have seen a fairly fast pace of spread to other countries, and that speaks to the international nature of China as a country, where people visit and people move around. The up to last night, I believe the virus was picked up in 15 countries, and up to a few days ago, it was in probably 8. So it does suggest that there is a risk, and so that has helped us to conclude on the travel advisory. But at the same time, we do not assess in equal terms the risk in a country where you have 1 or 2 cases, as is the case with China, where the virus originated and where you have many more. All right, I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much, and we will keep in touch.
Okay, so you heard him, you heard the minister, you heard what he had to say. What are your thoughts, people? I see a lot of people not believing him, a lot of people doubting what he is saying. I found it quite hilarious when he said that he is quite confident that as a country we would be able to deal with it if it got here, because we've dealt very well with other infections like SARS and MRSA and, well, he never ever mentioned Ebola, but some of those other infections that were novel. The issue is, though, how did we deal with dengue? And can we compare our management of dengue with what would happen? I mean, another point that struck me was the fact that the acting CMO said that all hospitals have a place where they can isolate patients. So is it that we expect that all hospitals will be equipped to deal with this infection and we won't try and quarantine everybody one place like what they're doing in China, which as far as I'm concerned is clearly the best way? So let me see what you're saying. Simriti Selassie over by YouTube is saying we're Andrew in all of this. Boy, I don't know, you know. So yes, we see a lot of tiptoeing around the Chinese. We see that they don't want to. They're trying not to basically step on any Chinese toes, and that is all well and good because they have to protect their diplomatic interests. But you know, as Clover is saying that the statement is, she's saying the statement is a bold-faced lie. Well, a few questions that I would have, and I would love to hear from the opposition spokesperson on health in terms of what he would have to say. Let me see what he would have to say. I would love to hear from him in terms of what he would say about this. What he'd have to say about this press conference. I'm sure he watched it. I'd love to hear from him. So I'm waiting to see if him. Right, so I'm awaiting word. All right, so as I said, just in wrapping up until we're here, and of course, you know, I will keep you posted. I will keep on top of this like white on rice. No pun intended. But they're saying that this is not a coronavirus infection. They are saying that it does not fit the case. What them they call it again? What them say? The case, it not fit the case, whatever. But it's not the disease. That's what they're saying, that the patient doesn't have a high fever. The patient is now out of the incubation period, and the patient does not have all the symptoms. The patient did travel to China, but the patient does not have the symptoms right now. So, okay. So I'm going to try and get an interview with Dr. Campbell. All right. I'm not going to say what I just heard, but I'm trying to get an interview with the opposition spokesperson to hear what he has to say. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to find out if I can get an interview, right, before we close off the live. Because we need to get to the bottom of this, right? We want to get, and I guess probably we need to wait until he puts out a statement. We're gonna wait until they put out a statement. All right. So I will continue to update you. I will continue to update. I have continued to update you. Right? We are waiting to hear from other practitioners. Yes, remember to like and share it, please. Remember to like and share it. I know over by YouTube I'm gonna come off shortly because it's TR time shortly. I know TR goes live at 2. But Facebook peeps, remember to share it. We want everybody armed with the information. Remember to protect yourself. You see how easy it could have come here? Before, in closing, let me just say to you, you see how easy coronavirus could have reached here? Them say it's not corona, we're not even sure. But you see how easy it could have got here. What does that tell you? It's better to be safe than sorry. They're saying it's not it, so we have to take them word for it. But this does not mean you should not protect yourself, right? So, in closing, thank you. Remember to share the video. Simrete is saying that I should go find the cure. Well, you know, viruses are viruses are viruses are viruses. There are certain things that you can take that assist your body. Viruses don't really have a cure. There are certain things that you can do to mitigate the effects of a virus. You know, in China it is said that they're treating the coronavirus with antiretrovirals, which are the drugs that they use to treat the HIV virus. So basically that is it. So thanks for joining me for this special stream, and we're gonna close off now. So take care of yourself. Take care, everybody, until we get to talk again. All right? Enjoy the rest of your day. Blessings. Take care.